Comme tous les termes en
En
anglais.
anglais. OK, allô tout le monde. En direct du Café des artistes pour la 4e performance. On a les artistes devant nous. On va faire l'entrevue Nathalie Coutou et moi, Nathalie Lauzon. Alors, hi. And, est-ce qu'on parle français, anglais? OK. Alors, why did you decide to come and perform today? Like, pourquoi vous avez décidé de venir aujourd'hui?
Today I decided to come and perform, mostly to also share the knowledge. It's really good to share knowledge with people so we can grow together, stronger, which today the theme is stronger together.
It's together.
Together, okay. Yeah. And as Abenaki descendants, I started doing what I'm doing, and I get to work also with Pinock for the last 7 years, and he's Algonquin, so we're sharing knowledge as two different nations and working together. And my specialty is more honoring the animals that give their lives to us, and it's also about talking a lot about the animals. As much as the bear can also give, their animal fat, which is the animal that sleeps the longest in the winter, so it helps heal our wounds. The otter tail, if you take the skin off the otter tail with the fur, just the otter tail being by the heat of a wood stove, the oil will come out, and we use that for infections of ears.
Wow.
The urine of the skunk we can do for anesthesia, someone before an operation, and how all the medicines that when we use an animal, we use it all, but we use also the seasons. So as the fall comes, the beaver, there's an oil that comes out of its skin. And if you see a reflection on top of the water, you know that there's a beaver that lives in that area. And as it's the fall, as humans, our skin is dry, too cold to go swimming. But if you're canoeing, you can put your arms in the water and then put that oil on your dry skin. So we use the seasons as much as we would go hunting in the fall and winter for the animals. And it's all synchronized as today we don't have those colds of minus 40s like before, and we don't have like different heats and stuff. But back then, if you put the hide during the fall winter season, especially the winter, the chickadee birds would come and eat the fat on the hide. Then the heat of the sun would heat up the skin, and then the cold of the minus 40s for about 3 to 4 days would freeze the skin, and then with the winds it would break the skin, and then leather was made. So we use the seasons to do, we think, oh my God, it must have been so hard working back then. And really we had techniques, to do things without, but today we have to do them because we don't have those minus 40s. And none of the techniques are wrong. Some people might use a dryer for the heat. Some might use it in the freezer to freeze. Some people will use different techniques. And I like to share knowledge because then people can share their techniques, and it's about growing stronger together.
Well, you're really good at explaining. And I hope you are aware that all your knowledge is really rich and really, well, I will say that everything you said, I didn't know, right? So I hope you know that it's really rich. C'est ça qu'on dit en anglais?
Oui.
Oui, okay. It's really precious, I would say. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Add a little
Yeah, of
something.
course.
Sorry. And then also we have this thing of the animals. I go in the Gatineau Park, I go in the La Vérendrye Park. More and more, we're no longer seeing as many animals out in nature. And I noticed that the animals are coming to the city. They know that by law we can't shoot in the city because there's houses and there's people around. So they're protected here, and people feed them. And so I find that we all like to feed animals. It's cute, and we don't shoot them all. A lot of them are very, they mean something to us, and we only take what we need, And well, for me, let's say I'm a crossbow hunter, and I crossbow, so it's like a bow on a arbalète, right? On a like a rifle bow, and I hunt the deer, but the deer is such a beautiful animal. I really respect it. And it doesn't mean I'm going to have to shoot all of them, just the ones that I need to survive and to share with my family and community. But as they come to the city, we feed them. And then they get used to being fed and they lose the knowledge of their ancestors. They lose the knowledge of how to survive on their own. And so it's kind of the same thing with us First Nations. We got used to the colonial ways. Don't ask me to go get a bucket of water, heat up the water to go take a bath. Like, I'm really happy that I get to go home and I open the faucet and I can take a bubble bath. I don't know, but it's really hard once you get to the technology of today to go back, because then we have that comfort zone.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for the animals. So when I go hunting, it's not a sport. It's also learning how they react. For example, if a deer comes, I like to see where it comes from, because when it fears, it always goes back where there was no fear before. So how to track an animal. But what do we do when we don't feel good? We go back to our safe space. Yeah. So that it's our home or in our car or in nature or like somewhere where we feel safe. We go back where we felt good. So there's that sharing as well.
You're so cute. You're really passionate. We can tell. Okay, now Pinock.
Well, I would just like to add on again. I have a little dog that some of you met today.
Yes.
His name is Hunter. He's a rescue. So it's almost like his knowledge is to survive and not trust anyone. So, but he's learning how to trust people. So I tell him not to touch him. But I have a backyard, and there's skunks, hares, birds, and they wake me up. The birds is like a seasonal. Even right now, I can hear little baby birds at night asking for food because they're hungry. But usually, if there's no baby birds, only the birds wake up in the morning and chat together. And then I can hear the squirrels fighting on my window going at a certain time. So sometimes I take my dog without a leash during the backyard, and I make sure that he won't harm any animals. So there's a certain time and point where everything is silent for him. So in the city, in the middle of downtown, I've learned a little bit how to keep a safe environment for other animals, and also bring my animal there and coexist. So I know my neighbor feeds the birds, but that's what I just wanted to share.
So I can understand that there is a link so far that you really are bonding with animals, the two of you. And you too, Pinock.
Not at all. I'm here because Natalie invited me there. And I always take the opportunity to take advantage of an invitation like this because I can educate people about our culture and show people that, not personally myself, I don't know a damn thing, but I like to take pride in my ancestors. I like people to recognize that it's their knowledge that I have today. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have anything at all. Yeah. The most important thing, I'll say it again, that we had was respect. That's the one word. Like our ancestors had that. They had respect for the environment, they had respect for themselves, they had respect for everything. So when they taught us, like I said earlier, it was the listen and learn system, the Trial system. What was shown with all the things they did with respect. So what we seen was always respectful things. It wasn't like today, the children today are exposed to violence and everything on TV because they don't have people to show them respectful things. And we don't have that anymore. And but there's a little different reasons for that, because today, for the times that we live in, both parents have to work, so you can't blame the parents for not being there. So that the mom actually is a television nowadays, and the television are a very good influence on children or anybody, for that matter. But it's not anybody's fault. Mm-hmm. It's just the times that we live in. But I really admire my ancestors. I can't get over their knowledge and experience and the things that they went through. And unfortunately, I learned a little bit, very little of my culture. They lived the whole thing of it, because they survived. It was their survival. Yeah. And again, it was that respect they had for nature, that they didn't overkill. They only took from nature what they needed, not what they wanted like we do, just what they needed. So that made a big difference. Yeah. If they took what they wanted, they might go hungry the next day. So they always lived from day to day in harmony with nature. We were just another factor in keeping the balance of nature. You know, we took what we needed, and then other animals took care of the rest of the things to keep our balance. Because we all need that in life. But it's a thing that doesn't have to necessarily always be good either. Balance comes in two forms. There's always going to be two things in life. You got to have good and bad to keep us balanced. If everything was good all the time, we'd be any good. If it's bad all the time, not too good either. You know, but having a little bit of the more keeps you in balance. And then if you can respect that, you know, it makes your life a lot easier. I don't worry about a damn thing. You know, I just go from day to day. Every morning that I wake up, it's a good day for me. You know, so as long as I keep waking up, I'm all right with that. I don't really have. I try and, you know, today our lives are so complicated. I think what we should do is simplify our lives. If we get rid of a lot of the garbage that we carry around for living, we'd have a better life. Because my ancestors, they lived very basic. You know, they didn't have a lot of complications. You know, they lived a good life, good healthy life. Today, we're, you know, we got all kinds of ulcers, you know, mental disease, and all kinds of different things, because we have too many things on our plate. You know, we didn't have that a long time ago. So I kind of like being simple. You know, but it's very difficult doing that because the life that we live in today, like she said, she likes our hot showers. You know,
Who likes that?
So do I.
I like my boat when I go fishing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when I go after work and I go under a bridge, I get stuck everywhere. But you know, we all pollute in a certain way.
So again,
We're
like
all
it's the
guilty.
balance.
It's hard to go back once you felt it.
So let's talk about the art side of your life. What is art bringing you in your life?
Art for me gives me a stability to channel all my bad emotions into one consistent and stable place so that it doesn't affect other people around me. So to talk about all these frustrations that you can hear through my album and the sadness and also light, good energy, really, I think, shows how transparent I am as a person. And that's what art does for me. It really helps me be creative. And right now, I also really enjoy cooking. I think there's an art to it. And my relationship with food is changing at the moment. And yesterday, I made my own cheese taco with no bread because I'm cutting off sugar.
Yeah.
And I felt so proud of myself. So my relationship with food is even like a more appreciation because I'm making it and I'm taking the time to do it well and enjoy it. So I think art, food is like
Enjoying life.
yeah, and if there's too much excess of it for me, that's when I can. It's almost like, you know, depression. Back in the days, I don't think there was that. You didn't have time to feel that, but it's almost like with the education system that I went through, that I did not go to Indigenous schools, and most of the time I was alone in classes being Indigenous and being told stories that were false. So all that rage tends to spill out until this day, and I'm constantly having to heal from it every day. It's an everyday thing for me to, you know, first thing in the morning I have to make my tea, or else my day is off. So it's just really finding a healthy routine in an environment that's hostile to me, and adapting so that, you know, if I walk in the streets, like a cop is not going to arrest me. So I've adapted in the city, and trust me, it's taking a lot out of me. But I want to stay there because there's music there, and there's art there, and I do have a good support system and network and other Indigenous people that make music as well. And we all are going through the same thing and expressing ourselves in our own ways. And I really respect that. And I'm just honored to speak up, to have the right to speak. That's already for me like a weight that's lifting. Yeah. With art, yes.
What is art bringing to your life?
It's hard to say art because it's like our daily routines. She's talking about food, and it got me all excited. Because again,
Me too.
we use we use the seasons, and our body goes with the seasons. As to when the spring comes, all winter we didn't get those elements. As to the maple tree starts getting warm, and then the sap, the water comes out, and it gives us elements to flush our system. And then the wild garlic comes out, and then the wild garlic gives us like strength. And then we have the summer berries and fish, and then we go back to the meat to give us more strength in the fall winter. So it's using those times of the seasons as to fiddleheads and different foods that we make. Making a nice cold rice with maple syrup and berries on top, and eating it as like a dessert, or just doing different things. And I get to work with Pinock, and he does workshops. And what I like about his, I don't want to take his spot, but for me, what I like is teach a man to fish, and then he'll learn how to do it on his own. And we talk about reconciliation. And when I work with him, I feel like it's a reconciliation, because we're teaching people to have pride in their ancestral work, like in their daily routine. Or so it's a way of making the people do the drum. It's a way of people doing a rattle, doing a snowshoe on their own, and having pride in their. So it's hard to call it for me an art, because it's a daily thing of sharing knowledge with people. And
So are you an artist?
I don't consider myself an artist. I have like a day job.
Okay.
So it's my pastime. It's my daily life after work hours. Yes.
And you an artist?
I'm definitely not an artist. I'm an Algonquin that does Algonquin things.
Okay.
Actually, art comes in many different forms. There's different, what kind of form, song, dance, whatever you want. And it's nice to have a title. Like people say I am an artist because of things that I do, but in reality, things that I make were just things that my ancestors made. It was a daily thing. A canoe was made to move from point A to point B.
That's right.
And to me, that's still what it is. I build canoes, but I don't canoe. But I make snowshoes, I don't snowshoe either. I make railroads, I have no children, so it doesn't come into play at all. But I don't consider it artwork, because I was born into this. Yeah. I didn't invent this thing. I'm not like a contemporary artist where I got this idea to do something. Everything that I do today, I was never formally taught, but I'm definitely not self-taught. I was taught through example. I've seen people doing it, so I picked up on that. So I cannot say that I invented this and this is my creation, this is my artwork. It is not mine to say that. I appreciate when people say that it's a piece of art, like a canoe, because there's not that many canoes around. So when people see them, they appreciate what is. Yeah. But it's not the canoe that I appreciate. It's the intelligence that went into inventing the canoe. The canoes of a North American native design. That's not French, German, English design canoes. I'm sure you make great canoes. But as long as my ancestors had invented this, then it's the forerunner of all canoes. That's all the canoes that came afterwards came from that. So when you appreciate that intelligence, you can't help but admire your ancestors, in their ingenuity and even just selection of material. In this part of the country we live in, we have the most species of trees. Yet they only chose like 4 trees to meet all their needs. Their habitation, their food and water transportation, whatever they needed came from nature. Not just they selected those particular items. And all natives, not just the people that live in this area here, adapted well to the environment that they lived in. And it was the environment that dictated their lifestyle. That's why we're all the same as natives, yet we have different modes of transportation, different habitation, different diets. It depends on what nature supplies for us that we would eat. So we're all different in that sense because the environment that dictated that. But I don't know what that got to do with my answer at all. You should stop me. It's like
that's awesome, because you all give us a perspective. It makes me think what is art? I'm like, this is called, like, okay, what's art?
I think art is something that other people appreciate. You look at something that's nice, like I like this picture.
Yeah.
And it's an artist that made it, so I appreciate it. I like the
But
colors,
for
like
me,
the
when
form
I
of
look
it.
at what you're doing, it's art, right? But it's your daily routine.
It's just something like
It's
I
a
said,
perspective,
We
huh?
talk about routine, yeah.
we're born into that.
Yeah.
It's something we picked up.
Yes, and according to what you're saying, you just said we're born into that. Yes, until colonization, when we deprived a lot of our indigenous nations, Métis or Inuit people, from parenting, from being there for the learning and to do like you were mentioning. And when you were talking earlier, it really touched me because I thought at some point when I raised my children, their father went back to his community, and I didn't have anymore that knowledge to teach them. And so one day I decided to do a teepee. So I went on, and it's the fall. And listen to this, you'll love this one, Pinock. I go and we put the tobacco down. We get the right tree, and then we're like rushing to scrape it and go get another scraper. And then my father-in-law, her grandfather, comes. He looks at us. He goes, he's smiling this way, and he goes, if you wait in the spring, you just peel it like a rabbit. Because we're like, oh my God, your ancestors worked so hard. And then he's laughing, like he's having a good time. But he let us work. He didn't say anything until someone asked.
Sounds like someone.
Ah.
I've been working with them for 7 years, and then I'm like, you made me work that other technique for hours, and you had like a 10-second solution.
That would be too easy.
Well,
But it's good to learn different techniques, because then you get to know different ways.
first two.
Yes.
So we wanted to let you.
Yeah. After we called Pinock.
What it is, our ancestors were, another thing I admire about my ancestors is that they were humble people.
I was gonna say.
They weren't full of crap like I am.
Yeah.
Always shouting out, talking all the time. They taught by example, by a good, healthy, respectful example. And that was the way of teaching. So they, and they were humble people. Now people, especially non-natives, they talk to the person, they say that's a stupid Indian, doesn't know anything. It's because they didn't ask the right question. He's not a boastful person. He's a person that had the knowledge. And he figures you have it too since you didn't ask. So doesn't tell you. Why should you try and impress? They didn't go around trying to impress people.
No.
They were just living a simple life.
Yeah.
Simplicity comes into play there. So they were able to do all these things, but people misread that. And they said, "Oh, these people are stupid and all that." Nothing else. It's because it wasn't in their place to be boastful. They were just humble people. That was the thing that I respect. Another thing I respect in my ancestors. There's a lot of things that I try and pick up on, and what they had, and what we lost. But that's today.
Before we say that we lost, and before we say that we were deprived from generation of learning and seeing, I want to say, do you believe that the future is promising for the youth to see, and if not, what would be the solutions for the youth to be interested again, to learn the olden ways, so that it's not lost?
They are.
As an elder, I plead the fifth. I cannot make a comment because I'm not an elder.
Neither am I. I'm elderly. There is a difference.
That would be good to hear.
Well, I mean, that's it. Like, I learned from my ancestors and people that have experience and knowledge, and I watch, so I can't really say anything now because maybe when I'll be 80, then I'll be able to say something. Yeah.
I think youth are getting smarter as today, because a lot of them are going back to trying to learn about the old ways. There's the dance, powwow, stuff like that. But also I do a lot of workshops with youth. They're interested in making things that pertain to their culture. So I think they're the ones that are making a move back towards learning about the culture, because it does give you, it gives you pride in who you are. Any simple thing that you work on, it's just that you realize how ingenious the people were, how smart they are. That gives you pride in who you are. So a lot of these kids that are making drums and making snowshoes, canoes, whatever, they see what nature supplied for them. They have respect for that, and also they have respect for their elders, because what their elders invented for them. We're not inventors. We're just carrying on what they did ahead of time for us. So I think the youth will benefit from it.
And if you had a message to say to the education system, would you encourage the teachers and the school boards to bring back the knowledge into the schools?
Yes, I would. But the thing is, what happens is, it's to have the right things to teach.
Okay.
We're teaching things that are pertaining to the French and English culture. It's not our culture. It's not that we'd have to get down and get the language back. Then try to learn about nature and all the different things. That would be effective. What we're doing now is we're just kind of mixing everything, which is not bad. It's a very good thing. We have to try and get back to the real roots of who we are, and the natural things. Keep things simple, and be humble,
Mama way.
respectful.
Mama way.
Do it all together, Mama way, and we'll be happier.
Well, every time you speak, you really embody everything you say. It's very consistent. Is that the right word? What you say, you are.
It's because I know very little, that's why.
Well, in conclusion, if we want to follow you or be in contact with you for the people online, where can they find you? Or can they?
I'm in Kitagan Zibi, and I live on the res.
Okay.
So right off the highway. It's on Tree
You have a
27.
website?
I do.
Okay.
Pinock.ca. You can find information on that. And my door's always open. People keep threatening to come, but they don't come anyway. So I invite everybody.
The website.
They won't come anyway. So.
The website is a way maybe to learn and to meet in a way.
Well, I have a lot of visitors.
Yeah,
I'm always welcome to because like I said, I enjoy sharing my culture. I'm not a prejudiced person that says I'm only sharing it with natives. I'll share it with anybody that wants to learn, because I am proud of my ancestors and my culture. So it's not. I don't have any prejudices or anything. It's anybody's welcome to my house. Any nationality. Everybody's equal. And we're all from the same place. We have to try and mama with together.
Mama with. And you?
No, I have a day job.
Okay. Okay.
You can't track me. I'm the tracker.
I'm the hunting tracker.
Track me. Try anyway.
Well, I would like to share not just me, but the platform that I was talking about with the network, where you can find other Indigenous people, and that are not just in Montreal. It's like they're pretty much based in Canada, or you'll even have Sami people from First Nation from Finland.
What does it call?
Like Finland?
No, what's the name of
So,
it? Sorry, I thought I
so
missed
the
it.
name is called Nikamawin.
Okay.
So it's
Maybe we can write it
Yeah.
on Facebook after.
Yeah, nikamawin.com. So it's like a streaming platform to find Indigenous artists that are doing indie rock, throat singing,
Cool.
Contemporary art, techno, and you can. It's a pretty big platform where you can really find and connect with different artists from different nations. So that's what I wanted to share, and you can reach me through there because there's About Us. So Music Nomad is in charge of Nikamawin. Yeah.
Oh,
We
that's
wish.
awesome.
Yeah.
Big wish to the three of you. Thank you so much for being here today and to teach us and to just be here. Thank you for that. Merci.
and you didn't shed a tear.
Non!